What's up, everybody? My name is Lee Shaner, and you're tuned into You Feel Me. Today, the theme of You Feel Me is the word rad.
Oh.
When I found out that we needed to pick an artist that was rad, I was a little confused and befuddled. I don't exactly know the definition of the term rad, but we decided that it meant, kind of somebody with that has a nice throwback vibe, because the word rad makes me think of like the late 80s, early 90s, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. And I said, oh, you know what? We got to get Soccer Mommy, because she makes me feel the way I felt as a teenager listening to like nice, gritty pop rock in the mid 90s. You know what I'm saying? It's got that little throwback singer-songwriter vibe with some good distortion and such. But so yeah, that's why we're sitting here, because I think you're rad.
Thank you.
And that's how I'm going to start the show. So Sophie, I appreciate you making the time for this, and we're just going to get right into it. Like, tell me where Soccer Mommy comes from. When did you start?
I've been making music pretty much my whole life, writing songs, playing guitar. But I started Soccer Mommy right after I graduated high school. I was interested in learning to record stuff, even on just like a bedroom level. So I got like a Tascam 4-track digital recorder and started recording all these songs on there, and trying to like add drums and bass and everything. And my Twitter name was at the time Soccer Mommy.
Nice.
As a joke. And I started posting all the music on Twitter and on Bandcamp, and eventually it just stuck. It started taking off a little bit.
Now, why'd you go with a Tascam 4-track rather than just like GarageBand or something? Because I'm sure you already had a laptop at the time.
I just thought I had recorded stuff on GarageBand before, and I thought, I don't know, there's something about making, it not on a computer and just recording everything, no editing at all, just recording stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's still digital, but recording stuff into like a little device and just kind of, making stuff sound good on there rather than doing it on a computer and trying to add a bunch of effects and stuff like that. Like, I just wanted it to feel stripped back and just kind of make things
a little more purposeful. Like, you got to get it right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Nice. You picked up a guitar at 6?
Yes.
That was amazing. Well, why?
It was bad sounding.
Why? Yeah.
I was at a charity event for my brother's school. I think he was in
young philanthropist.
Preschool,
I feel it.
And there was a signed guitar that I just really wanted for some reason. I thought it was really cool, and my parents let me get it.
Nice.
And it was one of those ones that didn't tune at all. Just you kind of just bang on it.
Yeah.
And I think I annoyed them.
Why?
So they got me a children's acoustic guitar that could actually tune. I started taking lessons.
Do you remember who signed it, the signed guitar?
It was a group called Riders in the Sky.
Is that some Nashville shit?
I don't know. I think they're just a children's band.
Nice.
That played it.
So you weren't a fan of Riders in the Sky? You're
no,
just
I thought
guitar.
I just wanted to play guitar, and I saw it and I wanted it.
When you first got it, was it an obsessive thing where you just constantly had it and were sleeping with it and waking up and banging on it and stuff?
Yes, I was banging on it a lot. I was writing, nonsensical songs, and just it was probably horrible for my parents.
But I mean, that kind of shows
terrible
that
experience.
You really were just born with it.
I was into it. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, just from my parents they aren't musicians, but my dad is a big music fan.
Yeah.
So he was playing me stuff from when I was a little kid, and I just loved music. So
that's amazing. And from Nashville, parents from Nashville as well,
my dad's from Wyoming.
Okay.
My mom is from New Jersey / Houston.
Okay.
So they just ended up in Nashville.
Did they link up with each other in Nashville or before?
They met in Texas.
Oh, okay.
They met in Austin, Texas, where they both went to UT there. Okay. And I guess they had some job that moved them down there to Nashville.
And so they just loved it and stayed?
They did not like it at first.
Really?
They really didn't. I think my mom just hated it. There wasn't, this was in, the 90s. Nashville was not that developed.
Okay.
It was the area that we lived in was pretty dull. Mm-hmm. Now it's awesome. There's tons of stuff to do. Mm-hmm. We're right by Belmont University, so there's a bunch of stuff down there. But none of that was there
It was
30
just
years ago.
kind of a little rural vibe or something. It had to
Yeah.
be more poppin' than like Wyoming though. Isn't that the least populated state?
That is the worst place you could ever go.
Shout out Wyoming. Hey, all your tourists in Wyoming just got canceled.
We never will play there. Is the thing. What town would we go to?
That's true.
They don't even have one.
There's like ski resorts there. I'm sure they would
I've been to those.
Yeah.
Those are nice.
Yeah. That's so funny. So, what if your parents weren't musicians in Nashville? I always looked at that as like it's just a music city. I figured everybody has like 6 degrees of separation to the music industry. What were they doing if they weren't in the industry?
My dad is a neuroscientist.
Wow, that sounds very smart. I don't know what that means.
He runs a lab for
Okay.
students he's at Vanderbilt. They have
Okay.
like a university too.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was a teacher,
Oh.
first grade.
Awesome. My mom was a public school teacher too.
That's cool.
I feel like there's something. A lot of musicians that I meet have public school teacher moms.
They raise you well. What can you say?
I think they support your creativity. They
Yeah.
don't say like, "Hey, this is a waste of time." They're like, "You know what? Go ahead.
Totally.
Follow your guitar dreams. Become a guitar goddess."
Yeah.
That's what she did. Did you ever have her in first grade?
No.
Ugh.
God, that would have been really weird.
My mom taught third grade, the same school that I was in
Oh,
third grade
geez.
at, and so when I would get in trouble, I wouldn't get detention. They would just send me to her room, which was way worse
Yeah,
than
that's
detention.
so much worse.
It's
Like
terrible.
you had to go sit with your mom.
A nightmare. So how did you like Nashville growing up in hindsight, now that you've been some other places?
I think Nashville's a great place for kids. It's a great place to grow up. Especially it was easy for me to get into the music scene a little
Yeah.
bit down there. There's a lot of young people
A lot of
playing
venues?
music. There were a ton more DIY venues like 2 years ago, but when all of that ghost ship stuff
Oh
happened,
yeah,
they all got closed.
that happened a lot in LA
Like
too.
a month after that, everywhere got closed pretty much. There's like one house venue left pretty much.
Oh wow.
There's a couple little house venues, but all the main ones I feel like that I played a ton of shows at when I was starting out are totally gone.
They're gone. Yeah, there was a real thriving warehouse scene in Los Angeles that had to kind of shut down for a while after the
Yeah.
ghost ship thing too. Yeah, terrible. So you got teacher mom, you got a scientist dad. Are you like genius level student or straight A's?
Well, I always thought I was really into school when I was younger.
Yeah.
I always thought I was going to be like a college graduate. I'm not, and I won't be.
There's time.
I don't want to.
Yeah, that's. Yeah.
I don't ever want to.
You're kind of on a
just
path where you don't need it. It seems
Yeah,
like.
it's just I lost interest in it. I went to an arts high school, so I was valedictorian though.
You're the valedictorian.
I was.
Hey, bravo.
I was not. I mean, I was kind of a nerd.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I got cooler as I grew up. I like smoked weed once, and I
Hell yeah.
Was like, oh my god,
Now
I
you're
don't
the
have to
coolest.
care about any of this shit.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite subject as a valedictorian, or were you like, I love all subjects equally?
I liked English a lot. I
Yeah.
liked to talk about like literature. I just hated reading though. I couldn't focus, so I would love to talk about it, but I wouldn't want to read the books. But I would still be interested in talking about it. And I liked math too. I just didn't like science very much.
Your dad
There's
was
really
so
bad
disappointed.
there's really bad science education in Tennessee.
No
is
kidding.
mostly why. Like
Ah.
when I was in elementary school, I didn't have science class. There was one day a week
Yeah.
where like during math class, you'd have like a science portion.
Were you someone that stressed yourself out over school? Was it like a B was the end of the world?
I was when I was younger. Like
Yeah.
by high school, like it wasn't a big deal anymore.
So knowing that you like to analyze literature, even though you didn't like to read, does that mean you were also an avid writer? Were you?
I liked doing like creative writing,
Yeah.
poetry mostly because I just have a really short attention span.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I was a songwriter.
Right. Since you were 6 years old.
Yes, pretty
Do you
much.
have any of your poetry from when you were like 6, where you're like,
No.
rhyming
I don't
like,
think
I
I
don't
was-
want to be at school. I wish I was in a pool or something.
That is kind of what the lyrics were
Yeah.
like, yes, when I was that young.
Yeah.
It was stuff like that.
Totally.
Like talking about having like braces and
What age did you get braces?
I got them like, my teeth were crooked. They still are because I don't wear any.
But what age? Like, were
I got them in like 3rd, 4th grade
Oh, you got
for the
'em
first
early.
time. I
Yeah.
got the like 4.
Yeah.
You had the little ones,
Yeah.
and then like later you would get full ones.
Like with headgear and stuff? Did you have to wear headgear as a
I
kid?
did have to wear headgear
My
for
brother did
about
too.
6 months,
Yeah.
only at night.
Yeah.
And they said I wore it so well that I got to do less time.
An overachiever in
I
all
know.
aspects.
I was like, I was like the only nerd actually wearing it,
Yeah.
clearly.
That's so funny. Did you feel like braces were a hindrance on any of your social life as a kid?
No.
No, you just powered through it.
No, I wasn't like, I was a tomboy. I didn't really care about how I looked or anything like that when I was younger.
Yeah, tell me about being a tomboy. Does that mean like athletics as well as music?
I played a lot of sports.
What sports? What did you
I
excel at?
played basketball. I played baseball. I played soccer. And then the soccer was the one that I stuck with. I played like in school, in middle school, and I did travel soccer. And then
so
I
you're
quit
like
in
a
high
comp team and
school.
everything.
Yeah, I quit in high school.
Why'd you quit?
I just was like, I don't really like this
The
to
competition,
this level.
the competitive aspect? Or?
Well, I would get really competitive.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. Like, it's irritating to like feel my blood pressure rise over something I don't even care about really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was part of it. And I just like, I was devoting so much time to it and I didn't care about it that intensely.
Did you feel it was taking time away from other things you were more passionate about?
Yeah, music.
Music. That
like
was
music and just hanging out with my friends.
You like already knew the music thing was like it. Yeah. Wow. So, after picking up the guitar at 6, how long is it until you start like really figuring some things out on there? Like, are you 8 years old and able to play chords and sing Beatles songs and shit?
Oh yeah, no, I could play chords when I was like
young.
7,
No
8.
way. Yeah.
But I don't feel like I really started learning like, I was mostly learning songs that I liked.
Yeah.
And, I knew scales. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't really like, avidly learning different chords and like any theory at all. Mm-hmm. I never really liked theory. But I kind of started learning more stuff like jazz music and stuff like that when I was like 12.
Yeah.
And that's when I started kind of doing that. And then I went to high school for it. So.
Was that in like a jazz band that you're learning that? Or are you taking private lessons?
I was just like doing it. I was in lessons.
Yeah.
I had like private lessons that
awesome.
I was learning.
Yeah, so your parents are really facilitating the dream.
Yeah, they were totally down.
Yeah, that's sick. And did you like practicing? It didn't seem like a chore to you? I feel like a lot of kids, like even if they love their instrument, practicing is a chore,
I just liked, practicing maybe was like sitting down and running scales.
Yeah.
But I always liked just playing songs, writing music and stuff. So I was playing all the time, even if I wasn't, running scales and arpeggios and stuff. I just liked to sit around and play a lot.
I love that you just dropped arpeggios on that. I don't know what that is, but it sounds very musical. Very musical. So what songs are you trying to learn and sing in your free time at that age of 12?
I was learning like jazz standards a lot, like stuff like, Fly Me to the Moon and April in Paris and stuff. Just, from like the Real Book type stuff, which is a book of jazz standards. Mm-hmm. That was pretty much what I was doing. I was doing that and writing, writing my own songs with the kind of chords and stuff I was learning from them.
And is the writing starting to get a little more kind of...
Yeah, it got better. It was still... I don't really think my writing got very good. I was always good at like pop writing.
Yeah.
I don't think I got lyrically that far until like I was 17.
Okay.
Something just shifted.
So when you say you got good at pop writing, like you the melodies were there, but
the
themes weren't there yet or something.
Yeah, and I just don't think it was very stylized at all. Yeah. Something just kind of switched when I decided to start trying to make my own, like trying to produce stuff and trying to record stuff.
When you got that Tascam.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. The thing dreams are made of. What is the first like radio song you tried to learn?
Beautiful Soul, Jesse McCartney, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. And did you kill it?
Yeah, I had to.
Yeah.
I had to learn it. I wanted to sing it.
Was Jesse McCartney was that?
I loved him.
Was he somehow involved with the Simpson sisters? Or what was going on?
I don't know. I'm too young to really fully remember
I'm
the
too
pop
old to fully
culture of that.
remember. Yeah.
I was like super young.
Okay.
I remember I put Jesse on my door to my bedroom.
Really?
Like a giant thing that said Jesse on it.
We should have had like a Jesse thing
on
we should this have. Set. I don't know why we slept on that. I should have done my research more.
Yeah.
Did he had like the frosted tips and spiky hair? Is that
No, that was in sync more.
I feel like all of them guys had that in the 2000s.
He had the the kind of Justin Bieber hair. He had the down. He was blonde.
Okay.
He was cute.
Nice. And so by that point, when you're starting to learn pop songs, what kind of music is evolving your taste beyond the jazz standards and what your dad was playing for you? Like, what were you into?
When I was like 12, I was still really into pop music.
Yeah, of course.
And stuff like Avril Lavigne, like stuff that I loved when I was a kid. It wasn't until I was like in high school that I started listening to like, some older stuff, like the Cars and
love the Cars. Like
eventually like Sonic Youth, Sleater-Kinney, Deer Hunter was one that really got me into indie music.
I love Deer Hunter.
Liz Phair too. That kind of came like around the time that I was beginning to make the soccer mommy stuff.
That's awesome. Because, like, okay, so bringing it back to the whole rad thing, like, when I listened to your music, the first time I heard one of your songs, just perusing through Spotify or whatever, I was like, oh, this takes me back to, like, Liz Phair. Honestly, I don't know if you've been told this or even if it would sound like a backhanded compliment. The first time I heard Cool, it reminded me of, like, early Sheryl Crow shit.
I love that kind of stuff.
Dude, because I remember the first time I heard Sheryl Crow on the radio, I was like, oh my God, what is this? I've never heard something like it, because I was probably like 8 or 9 years old, And she just seemed like the coolest, no pun intended.
She was super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, she still is.
Right. And
she still got it.
There's something about your vocal tone that reminds me of her early work, you know what I mean? Like, not when she became a literal soccer mom, but like, when she was like very hip in the 90s. And in listening further into your catalog, you totally can see the Sleater-Kinney, the Liz Phair. Like, you can hear those influences, How are you finding that stuff? Who's telling you about it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's the kind of stuff I was delving into. Yeah. I mean, I remember I got Sleater-Kinney's first record for my birthday from a friend one year. Yeah.
What a cool friend.
And I was like, I've really been wanting to check this band out.
Yeah.
And I started listening to that, and I loved that album. And then I started listening to, like, the hot rock and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of just, I got really into 90s stuff, and I had watched a lot of 90s shows too growing up. Like, Buffy's my favorite show ever.
Oh yeah, I see a lot of Buffy content on your feed.
My whole family was like we all watch it.
Yeah.
Like, my mom, I think maybe my sister was the one who got us into it when she was like super young.
Now, did you ever go back and watch the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie?
I've seen the movie too, yes.
I love the movie. I never got into the show, but the movie was my shit.
Is the best.
Right. I need to go back and check it out, because I've heard nothing but good things.
It's like, I mean, I watch it literally all the time.
Really?
Like, when it went off Netflix, I had to buy it all.
That's like the way people watch Friends. You watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's
that, and like, I loved like Daria too. I really got into that.
Yeah. What character of Daria is your Twitter?
It's a background person.
That's
it's just a person I saw in the background, and I was like, that looks like me as a cartoon.
I was trying to like look through all the characters, because I used to watch Daria as a kid. Yeah. I'm like, who is that? What character is it?
No, it was a rando.
Yeah, okay.
In like the first episode, I think.
That's so cool. Yeah. What a rare reference.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah, you had some other good 90s pop culture reference on your Instagram that I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, yeah, you could tell that you're like a soul child of the 90s.
Yeah, well, I got into a lot of the art from that time period. Like, I loved like a bunch of Joss Whedon shows growing up too. I was really into sci-fi. My whole family was. Yeah. Like, watching like Doctor Who and all that stuff. Like, when I was young. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I just like heard a lot of music in that, and it
by osmosis.
Yes, it influenced me at a young age.
That's super cool. So you're an older sister with a younger brother?
I have a younger brother, and I have an older sister. Yeah.
You have an older sister?
Yeah.
Was she into cool music? Like, was she handing down stuff you should be into?
Yes, I would go on her iTunes.
Yeah.
Like, you know how when you're like your sister, you have the shared, and I would just steal her recently added.
Really?
And I'd put it in my iTunes. And
what kind of shit did you steal from her?
It was like, I mean, it was just like songs. Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, a new album by someone. It was like totally random stuff. Like, at the beginning, it was like Hilary Duff, Kelly Clarkson, Britney. Yeah. Stuff like that. And then, I mean, it was just, I heard Deer Hunter for the first time from her. It was just like, I did it my entire life. It was like everything I ever listened to, like, was kind of a hand-me-down or something I found on the internet.
What's that Deer Hunter song where it like explodes at the end, nothing ever really happens or something like that?
Yeah, nothing ever happened.
I fucking love that song.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, amazing.
I love that album.
Yeah, that's a great record. So when you get to high school, you said you went to art high school. Mm-hmm. How does that work? Did you have to apply to it? Did you have to like audition somehow?
Try out.
Yeah. What did you do? Play guitar?
I played guitar.
And sang?
Yeah, and I sang. And I tried out for I was in the guitar program, and I was also in the swing band where it's just like jazz standards.
I read
basically,
that.
as a
So did
band.
you try out with a jazz standard?
Yes.
Okay. And
I think I tried out with, it might have been April in Paris, it might have been Georgia on my mind.
oh, I love Georgia on my mind.
Yeah, I like that song.
The swing band, is that like the movie Swingers, like where people are swing dancing and shit? Is that what
No.
swing band is? What is swing band?
It was pretty much us doing jazz standards
Yeah.
or other kind of like bluesy, jazzy songs. And then towards the end of high school, our school did a lot of stuff with the CMAs, so we learned a lot of country songs.
Oh, wow.
Like we would, like Chris Young would come to our school or something, and we'd have to learn a Chris Young song.
Who's that? That's a country artist?
Yeah, country artist.
That's the one genre I don't know
didn't
shit
know
about.
either when
Yeah.
I was like 16, 17. I just knew who was coming. I had to learn a song.
Okay. And so how many guitars are in that band, or are you the lead guitarist?
I would usually play rhythm.
Okay.
I much preferred it. There was usually 2 guitar players. Sometimes, there were a ton of kids in the class, so it could be more if we wanted more.
So you're playing rhythm, and then there's like a metalhead kid who's like
Yes.
wanting to solo and
Yeah, like
shred,
a
but he's
stoner
like,
rock
oh, I'll put it.
kid.
Yeah.
And then, there'd be bass and drums. We had a couple singers. I'd often like sing too while I was playing guitar.
Nice.
So.
And were those rigorous practices? Were you spending a lot of your education time with swing band?
Yeah, mostly because my friends were in it.
Okay.
So I would we'd have practice. We had like a long class period to practice, like
Yeah.
every day pretty much. So, we'd spend pretty much the whole class like learning new songs.
So you
or
wouldn't have to-
sometimes, we would just not do anything and
Smoke
we would
weed
hang
for the
out.
first time.
We would just we would sit around and do nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely like had like after school practices and stuff, and we had gigs. We had a very odd, eccentric teacher.
Awesome.
So he would like take us to do gigs outside of school, which
That's
like,
tight.
Probably isn't really allowed.
Yeah. Have you bend those rules a little bit?
Yeah, well, he just didn't even.
What kind of places
about
are
it.
you going to, like bars and playing gigs?
We would play like I would play sometimes I would do these 3-piece gigs with him where we'd have a bass player and me and him at like a school event,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be like at a hotel, and like it'd be like a teacher conference or something, and
Yeah.
we'd be getting paid like $100 each
No
to do
way.
it, and like would get a meal, and then we'd bounce.
And so he'd be like the band leader, and you guys would
Yes.
be playing rhythm and bass?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's
and then
tight.
sometimes like I literally did play gigs where I would with my 2 other friends who sang, we would sing backup in his band.
Wow.
And we would go to like a club basically.
Yeah.
And sing.
Would you guys
at
have to
these
wait
shows.
outside until you could go on stage?
No, it would be like often it would be like weird, like a dance studio or something that was like had a club night
At
type
night,
thing.
yeah.
It was odd, thinking back, it's odder than it was at the time because I was like, oh, we just do gigs.
But at the same time, he's like really taking you into the real
No,
world
he
and
was
letting
like,
you get
and
your
he was
chops
paying
up.
us. He was
yeah.
paying us,
Yeah, so
like
you
a
were a working
16,
musician
17-year-old.
from a young,
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, that's a really cool teacher and opportunity
Yeah,
to have.
he
in
was
hindsight.
very sweet.
Yeah, that's tight. You ever keep in contact with him now?
I saw him. I went by school to see him one time.
Yeah. Were you like, hey, I'm famous now, man?
I was like, what's up?
Yeah.
Here's my album. But yeah, I don't keep in contact a ton.
What about with any of your high school bandmates? Did those become your people? Are those like your...
Yeah, they're my friends. I actually just
Yeah.
went to one of the people that I used to sing with's graduation party not last night, the night before last.
Yeah. Did a lot of them go on to like
College.
go to music school and college and all that stuff? Did anybody end up at Thornton at USC or anything?
No, I had most of my friends, like a couple of them went to MTSU in Nashville. One of my friends is at Oberlin.
Okay.
Well, actually, she just graduated.
Yeah.
Or like Chattanooga.
Would you ever hit them up to be in your band?
Oh, I would definitely have them sing with me. It'd be
Yeah.
so fun. But a lot of them are doing like their own music, or some of them aren't even doing music anymore.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Skullcandy wanted to show you some love for listening by hooking you up with 15% off your next purchase. Head over to skullcandy.com and use the code YouFeelMe19 at checkout to get 15% off anything site-wide. So, 16, 17, is that around... That's okay, so you get the task game at 17, right? Or 16,
Yes,
right?
17.
Okay, so you're already out playing gigs with your teacher and making some money here and there. So you get this recording thing. Do you put the first thing you ever make on it online and like let people hear it, or do you let it stew for a while?
I think I did put the first thing I ever made online. It took me a second to do it. Like at first I would like put it on my Tumblr.
Oh,
that was when Tumblr was really like
popping.
everyone had a Tumblr.
Yeah.
And I would post it on my Tumblr like really,
Did it get a lot of notes?
My friends.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I had like a ton of following on Tumblr, from my blog.
Right.
So like my friends would be like, I like this. And I was like, yes, nice.
That's tight. What was your Tumblr like? Was it mostly like snippets of 90s pop culture stuff?
It would be stuff like that. I was
Yeah.
really I was very into K-pop when I was like 15.
Okay.
So that's kind of when I got on Tumblr, I feel like, was like K-pop and sci-fi shows.
Okay.
So it was kind of like that.
An eclectic mix.
And then it just got into like, as I got older, it kind of got more like, just me posting like emo stuff.
Was K-pop to your generation what boy bands were to our generation?
I don't know because I feel like I didn't know many people who were into K-pop when I was like 15. I feel like K-pop's getting bigger now.
It is getting huge now.
Like BTS
Yeah.
and Blackpink and stuff like that is getting big. Like when I liked K-pop, I was a nerd.
Yeah, okay.
I was it was a dork thing.
Right, but now you're like the queen of the nerds.
Now
because
I'm like, oh, I remember K-pop.
you're like, oh, K-pop, oh yeah, you little nerds.
Yeah.
I just saw BTS for the first time on Saturday Night Live, and I was like, wow, these guys are like actually amazing. What an organized group. I can't imagine the work that goes into.
It's a lot.
Like there's like 26 members. So I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit. But they all know the steps.
Mm-hmm.
So you get those notes and yeah, is that like a feeling of validation that your friends are like, wow, you're onto something?
Totally, yeah,
Yeah.
or like, someone I was like kind of friends with would like message me or something and be like, love that song.
Yeah,
and I was
put
like,
it on my playlist.
wow, like that's cool.
That's super sick.
But yeah, I mean, they were really like bad recordings even still then.
Acoustic or electric? What were you playing?
It'd have both usually,
Yeah.
and it'd have like drums and bass, but it was just like, really low quality. It was like through bad mics.
And so are you programming drums on your computer
No,
and
I
putting
was
them
playing.
in? You're playing the
I
drums.
was playing drums.
In your house?
Yes.
Did you have a drum room or how'd you mic them?
I would set the Tascam
Yeah.
on the bass drum
Wow.
and use the internal
Just
mics.
Kick.
And I would use a brush on the cymbals.
Yeah.
And I would mute the snare.
Wow. And how did it
turned
sound?
out okay.
Sound
Honestly,
around?
that was the best way it could sound at that point.
In that digital Tascam, do you have like limiters and compression you can put on stuff to kind of up the volume, or is it just it is what
really.
it is? What
It was pretty much like what you could turn up the volume,
Yeah,
but like
that was it.
Yeah.
So not a lot of control.
No.
That probably made for a very cool raw sound though.
Yeah,
Now,
it did.
Yeah, and how long had you been playing drums, or was it some utilitarian thing where you're just like, I just need a kick and a snare?
I started playing drums when I was 10.
Wow.
I went to rock camp for drums.
Did you?
I
Like
went to
School of Rock?
girls rock camp.
How was that?
It was so fun. I went for like 7 years every summer, and I would bring my friends
Yeah.
to be in my band.
Shut up.
So like, I would
Where's
like.
rock camp? That's sick.
It was in Murfreesboro. It was at MTSU.
Okay.
Now they have one in Nashville too. We actually played at it
nice.
before our first tour ever. We
you're,
played at the
You're
rock
like, hey,
camp.
I'm a rock camp graduate.
Yeah, I was
alumni.
like, let's go.
Yeah. That's so cool. And how long were those camps? A couple weeks at a time, or?
Yeah, it was. I think it was like a week.
That's sick.
A week, and then
like at a
come
lake,
next
you
summer.
go like canoe and stuff in the.
No, it was literally just like you would go at like 7 a.m.
Yeah.
out to Murfreesboro, and first thing was they'd have like a meeting in the auditorium where like they'd like just do camp, like pepping people up and
Right.
stuff, and then you would go to your lessons where you'd learn whatever instrument you were doing
Right.
for like 2 hours or something. And then maybe it might have been even longer. It might have been like 3 hours. It was like half the day, basically. And then you would go to lunch, and then there would be like an artist a lot of time would come in.
Yeah.
Maybe the artist came in before lunch, and like, but bands would play. Like I definitely knew people in the music scene, like that were much older than me before I like started being in it, because I'd be like, oh my God, that was like one of my camp counselors. That was like a band that played at this rock camp I went to.
The artists that they're bringing in, were they usually women?
It was sometimes women, sometimes it was guys.
Yeah,
but it was a lot of women for sure. But yeah, it was just like local bands and stuff, like Those Darlings, like if you know that band.
I don't.
Well, I'm not even gonna
But there
explain
you
it
go.
then. They
Yeah.
all worked there. They
okay.
would play there.
Yeah.
And then, you'd go to lunch, you would do like a class like photography or like zine making.
Oh, so you could kind of
Something like
market
that.
yourself too.
Yeah, you'd like make shirts for your band or something. It was so fun. And then
so
you would
cool.
have band practice.
Yeah.
And you would learn a song by the end of the week with your band. And
Were you
would
in a
perform.
3-piece or a 4-piece?
Just 4 most of the time.
Nice.
Sometimes 5.
And so since you were already playing guitar at that point, is that what you would go to the camp and be like, I want to learn to play drums?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I just like I didn't really I had more fun doing it.
That's so
Plus my
sick.
friends could more like all played like, you know, a little bit of guitar, or, like sang a little bit and stuff. So I was like, I'll drum.
Is that where you start to pick up some recording techniques? Is that the rock camp
Yeah,
too?
I actually took a recording class. I
Yeah.
think I might have used a Tascam.
Awesome. So
I
that's
think
like,
I might have used like a Tascam
we just
tape
broke through and
recorder
figured
when I
out
was
where it came
like
from. Yeah.
12 years old or something at
Right.
rock camp.
That's so cool. So, all right, yeah. It seems like you're balancing a lot of stuff because you had a very extreme passion for the music. You're also a bookworm, even though you don't like to read, and you're getting straight A's in your AP Calc class, right? Doing valedictorian. What was your valedictorian speech like? Did you?
I didn't give a speech.
Why?
I played a song I wrote and
way
I
better.
crowd surfed
You crowd surfed
on the
as
stage at the
valedictorian.
Grand Ole Opry.
At the Grand Ole Opry,
Yes.
that's an amazing high school story. Is
Yes.
there video of that? There has to be.
Yeah, there is.
Everybody
there
has
definitely
phones.
is. I don't
Yeah.
know where it is. I used to have it on my phone, but I got a new one and I lost the video.
That's
but
so cool.
It's definitely on the internet.
What was the song like? Was it just one of your Soccer Mommy songs, or was it like a specific?
Basically, it was kind of like, you know, like I was playing like a guitar riff that was like a doubled guitar riff. And it was, you know, it was like a rock song pretty
Yeah.
much. It's like a pop rock song.
That's so cool.
I did a solo while I crowd surfed.
Shredded while you were surfing.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
I was a punk at this point.
Yeah. Did you like dye your hair and shit?
No, I didn't. Well, I did dye. I didn't do like colored dye my hair.
Okay.
I was, you know, I mean, I wasn't like super hardcore punk, but I was going to like punk shows. And
Like
stuff.
some Riot Girl shit or what?
Kind of.
Yeah.
I guess it's like closer.
Okay. That's sick. And so you went to NYU after high school, right? Now, I know going into music business, that's like a thing that people who are like, I actually want to be a musician, but I just have to like pretend to go to college for my parents. Is that kind of what it was? Like music
I didn't
business?
start in music business. I started going, I was undecided, but I was looking at like English or comparative literature.
Okay, but then you're like, I fucking hate reading.
Yeah, I was like, I can't read. I just can't do long reading.
Yeah.
Like I like writing. I like reading poetry. I like reading when it's really interesting me, and then I'll lose. Like it just takes too long.
Yeah.
Clearly, like the internet ruined my brain.
Totally.
I just like I can't. Like
Twitter made it hard to
hopefully
read
when I'm
novels.
older, I'll be able to do it. Like, but I just like I couldn't. And it was just like a lack of drive to do schoolwork. Like you
Yeah.
know, I'd like have a reading, and I'd be like, I can definitely skip this and like still talk about it in class. Like,
Right,
'cause
like
I know
bullshit
what
my way
themes
through.
are going on. I can just talk about it.
There's Wikipedia.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I went into music business because I was like, maybe I'd like to be a booking agent or something if I don't ever make it.
Uh-huh.
And it was also when my music was starting to like, I had like a little bit of an audience.
Because you're putting your stuff on Bandcamp at this point.
Yes, and I think when I went into music business, I had just released, in the summer, I'd released For Young Hearts on Orchid Tapes, which was like a tape that I did, like an actual tape release.
Awesome.
And that like actually got on blogs and stuff. So
Yeah.
I kind of had like a local, like a New York scene following a little bit, you know.
What
I would
are
do
the
some out-of-town
blogs
shows.
that pick up on rock music? Because I don't follow enough rock music.
Stereo Gum does.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
Stereo Gum.
Pitchfork, obviously, but that's
Obviously,
like bigger
yeah.
stuff,
Yeah, that's
pretty
huge.
much. The Faders, you know, they're
little bit.
bigger too, but they
Yeah.
do rock music.
Yeah.
There's stuff like Wild Honey Pie is one,
Okay.
or like, I mean, there's even more like small, like, you know, there's Consequences Sound. There's
That's
like
one, yeah.
smaller local ones. Like, I think the first place I got wrote up ever,
Yeah.
like I ever did an interview for, what was that place called? It was a one in the UK, and I follow them on Twitter, and I
Not
cannot.
NME. That's
No,
big
it was
one,
not.
right?
No,
Yeah,
it was
that's huge.
smaller. They were like kind of big though. There's
Yeah.
like one called Gray Estates that I like followed that I did I think
When you do your
review
first
my album.
interview, is it over
was email.
And did you like really think about the
Yeah,
answers,
I really thought
or did
about
you
it.
just kind of
I really wrote into it.
drafted it a couple
They
times?
were like, "We're not using all this. Like,
We gotta trim this down." That's the same thing with this interview. They'll be like, "Oh, we're gonna trim Lee out of it, so
Yeah.
it's fine." So when you start putting your stuff online, right? Was it I always think back to the like Bandcamp versus SoundCloud meme. You know what I mean? Was it just a given, like I'm going to put my shit on Bandcamp?
I started with SoundCloud.
Yeah.
But then I was like, Bandcamp, I can put up like an album and it's going to look like an album.
And the thing about Bandcamp is kind of, it organizes everything really nicely. It's very concise. You know?
It's easier. You can download.
Yeah.
You know, I just like, I started with SoundCloud just posting stuff. And then when I was like, I'm going to put up like an EP, that was when I went to Bandcamp.
Yeah. And did you start making a little scratch all of a sudden? You started making a little money and you're like, ooh, this is kind of nice?
For a while there, I was like kind of getting a little, you know, I would get like
that pocket change feels nice at first.
I would get some cha-ching.
And all of a sudden, class starts to make a little less sense because now you're seeing the sense in the pocket. Yeah,
it really was. Especially I was, after like not even 6 months into being in music business, I signed a record deal.
Right. So let's get to that part then, because obviously shit starts catching on. The first Soccer Mommy performance was like a smash, right? Is that what I read?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you start gaining a little buzz in New York, and Fat Possum comes along. Was there a little bit of a bidding war? Did other labels come along too?
There was like one other label that was kind of talking to me, but they were a lot smaller than Fat Possum. And I didn't really realize even that Fat Possum was going to be as big of a deal as it was.
That's what I was going to ask, because I don't like Fat Possum. To me, I'm like, oh, that's a big label that like does cool shit. Yeah,
that's kind of what I thought. I was like, wow, like a label is reaching out. But I was still like, I'm going to release something. I'm still going to be in school. Like, I'm not going to tour really. Like, I'll play. Because what I was doing when I was in college is I would do this really cool thing where I'd get like a Facebook message being like, hey, I run a house in Boston. Like, we could pay you like $250.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, that is enough for me to get my friend Ben to get his car from New Jersey.
Yeah.
And we can go on a vacay for the weekend.
Yeah.
And like, we can just go stay at
all
like
the beer
my
we
sister's
want.
House in Boston, because she lived in Boston. She was at Boston University. And I was like, we can go. I'll pay all the gas. Like, we'll get some food, you know, like let's go on a little weekend trip to Boston or to like Wesleyan or wherever.
Right.
And I would just like get paid by these, you know, college kids.
That's
and
tight. How many people would be able to fit in those houses?
They did well. The shows did well.
Really?
Yeah. I remember I played this solo show in Boston the first time at this place. I can't remember what it was called. It used to be called The Womb.
Yeah.
But it had a different name when I went there. I only knew that because my sister was like, "Oh, that's the womb."
No, it was the placenta at that point.
Yeah, it had a new name.
Yeah.
But it was full. It was like a full house show. It was a party. Those were so fun too, because I'd come and I would just like stay with my sister or stay, you know, somewhere really pretty for the weekend, and then I'd go to like a party basically.
And to leave still with like at least $50 in your pocket.
Yeah,
probably,
leave. I would like go like, you know,
Yeah.
have some I would go on Reverb. I'd start shopping.
Hell yeah. And so that feels at that age like I'm set. I've got it. Like this is my budget.
I was really
I'm
like
good.
At that point I was like, this is
How
good
can
enough
it get
for
better?
me.
Right.
Like I, you know, can play all these places, and that's like what I thought it was gonna be when I released Collection.
Yeah.
And then like when Clean, and it, you know, I ended up dropping out because I got these like support tour offers.
Oh, so Collections, you're still doing the house tour, the house shows?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
When I was working on Collection, I was still doing that.
So for Young Hearts, that's when you were doing the house shows?
The house shows.
Okay, yeah.
And stuff like that.
And so Collections comes out, and that's when it's like things start getting more serious?
Yeah, that's when I got like a booking agent, and I was like, oh, I can do these support tours.
Once you have a booking agent, they're kind of like, yeah, I don't care if you're in class.
Yeah, they just like kept it busy.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be busy because I was like, I'm going to drop out.
Right.
And I planned on taking a year off and then coming back, and
that doesn't work that way.
No, it didn't. Especially not when like Clean happened.
Right. Well, so wait, before we get into the touring and the booking agents and all that stuff, when somebody from Fat Possum comes calling, like, did you know Fat Possum already?
Yeah, I did. Okay. I still thought, like, because I don't know, I knew, like, you know, there are bands that release an album and stay in school and just do some little tours on their breaks and stuff. I just thought that's what I would be doing.
Yeah.
Of course, when the offer came to not do that and, like, do support tours and, like, grow it, I was like, I would so much rather be doing that.
Totally.
Emailing my agent in class.
Right.
So.
Too many distractions. And you got to concentrate on the art. You got to put the energy where it needs to be. So how does life change after the signing? And this is post collections, yeah? So after that record and before Clean comes out, like, does the recording process change? Is it a bigger kind of ordeal, like a lot more hands in the pot?
Yes, I recorded Collection with my at my old bass player's house with just the band I had been playing local shows with. And it was, it was fun. Like, we had a little budget. I got to pay them all a little bit.
Nice.
But, like, we didn't, like, rent anything. We didn't, like, go to, like, it was his house studio. And then Clean, we worked with Gabe Wax. And I recorded in New York, and it was like a real studio, and it was
Did it
also
feel amazing
just like,
or intimidating?
It felt great.
Yeah.
It was just so amazing to like, because just from the start, it just started sounding like I was like, wow, this is going to be like exactly what I want.
Yeah, I mean, and the singles are like singles. They're like big.
Bop.
They're like, they're straight up. They're slaps.
Gabe, the thing is,
like,
I love writing songs that are poppy.
Yeah.
And Gabe really helps make them, like, they're still rock songs and stuff.
That's what I love.
But they bang.
That's what I love so much about your sound is, like, this is clearly somebody with strong pop sensibility who still has a very, like, genuine rock feeling, and, like, it still feels alt. It doesn't feel like watered down pop rock, like, because it can get to be watered down very quickly. But you guys walked that line, and it was like, oh wow, these are like big concert rock songs, but still have that feeling of like an intimate house show or something. You know, I love that. That's really what drew me in. So yeah, like, as soon as you're hearing the first takes, you're just feeling that already. Like, oh, I can like get the sound out of my head onto the paper now.
Yeah, we did like a test run with Gabe. And we went up in June to his like studio, and we just did stuff in his. We didn't even go into the studio he worked at. We did it at his house studio. Yeah. And we recorded like we ended up redoing stuff, but we recorded Still Clean and Skin. Yeah. And I remember just being like, shit, this is gonna be great.
Life's gonna change.
This is who I want to do it with. I don't want to meet anyone else.
Right.
I want to like make a whole record with this guy, and we ended up doing it in 2 weeks. Wow. We did a week in September. And a week in October, I think, is what it was. Something like that.
You
it was
already
in
came
between
with the songs
tours.
written?
Yeah, I had written the whole album, and he had heard the whole album as demos.
Yeah, right. That's amazing. I mean, it came out fantastic. I love the record. Can't recommend it enough. So now, life is touring. Life is only being home probably once a month or something.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. How do you like it? How are you staying sane? Do you enjoy being on the road?
The thing is, whenever I'm home for too long, I just like want to leave so bad. But it's really nice I think we're in a good flow right now of like kind of doing like a 3-week tour or something, and then having like 10 days off. Yeah. It's a nice flow. Yeah.
Do you have songs still kind of exploding out of your head at all times, or?
I'm kind of on a break right this second because I've wrote a whole album or recorded a whole album. Right. Now.
Yeah.
So, but for a while, it was just like I was writing all the time, and then we recorded, and I was just very focused on those songs. So I haven't written a song since we finished recording, but that was in March, so it hasn't been long. Yeah. I think it'll probably start coming back again soon, but you do kind of have a moment after you finish this huge
where you
piece of you that you're like,
take a
I'm
breath.
Burnt out. I need to. Well, it's also just like you don't want to just like keep writing the same album.
Because then how do you grow?
You need you need to like finish that and like take a second and start something new.
Right. Something in life has to inspire a new record a lot of the times, I think, every time you look back at a record, it's like that snapshot of your life at that time, right? Yeah. What was the response to Clean like?
It was great, honestly.
It's still happening.
Yeah. It's still happening. It's crazy that we've been riding it this long. Yeah. I think because it's been over a year now. Yeah. But when it came out, I was really not expecting some of it. Like I thought that there were definitely blogs that I was like, these people really liked the singles. They've been like really attentive. They're definitely gonna love it. But like Pitchfork liking it, I really was not expecting. I thought they didn't like me because they hadn't given me any like real. Right. They had given me like track reviews and stuff. I hadn't gotten like best new music. I thought they thought it was like fine. I thought there were people there that liked it, some that didn't. Right. I was not expecting to get a best new music.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But
Fader's been very kind too. I feel like I've seen
Fader's been very kind.
Yeah.
Stereo Gum is
Yeah,
I love
ride for
them.
you. Yeah,
They were like the first one to ride for me. So
That's sick.
I'm gonna ride or die.
Yeah,
you know,
ride or die
like
stereo
ride or die
got
for
the stereo
gun.
gun fucking tattoo, gang.
Yeah.
That's so funny. So yeah, you say you just finished recording a record.
Mm-hmm.
When is that to be expected? Can you talk about that?
You know,
You don't
I'm
have to
gonna
spoil
guess.
anything. Yeah.
Like, cause we haven't mixed it yet. We haven't mastered it.
Yeah.
No art, none of that. So
Uh-huh.
we just have the recordings, which I'm very happy with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing early next year.
Awesome.
You know, because the thing is, it just takes it takes like 2 seasons from when something's done to be able to put it out.
Yeah.
You know, technically, maybe it could come out end of this year. I just don't think that's very
Because you got to get the plan in order.
I don't want to rush.
Right. That's the big difference between putting the shit on Bandcamp and like being able to get like on the front page of Spotify and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Is like it takes time, planning, and money. You know.
Yeah. Well, I think with Clean, we finished recording in November and
Yeah.
it came out in February, and that was like
That's
a rush.
fast.
That
Yeah,
was like
that's
a
really
rushed
fast.
process.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I was happy because I don't like waiting.
Yeah.
But it was very, like, I had to get the album art. I didn't have management or anything either. So I was, like, doing a lot of the art stuff myself.
Beyond the tape that you pressed, was Clean the first time you had like maybe vinyl pressed and
No, a collection.
Oh, you did?
Collection
Okay.
got vinyl. And
How did it
tapes.
feel that first time that you had the vinyl in your hands?
It was sick.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It's
You know,
cool,
I was
right?
like, especially I was like, I like made this with like my friends, like,
Yeah.
and it's on a vinyl.
Yeah.
That was the first, actually, that was not the first vinyl record. I had a 7-inch come out.
Oh, okay.
With Last Girl and that song Be Seeing You that just
Yep,
came
yep.
out recently onto streaming for the first time.
Let me ask you this: your parents, right? Both educated and educators.
Yes.
How did they take the dropping out of college, and what do they think now that you're like doing it?
You know, now
There's-
I don't need any money from them.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't need to stay at their house.
Right.
I'm sure they love it.
Yeah. So they're stoked.
But and my dad like loves music. You know, he's like kind of a music nerd.
Yeah.
So he's, you know, super into it. My mom, you know, she would probably love whatever I made.
You're right.
But yeah, I mean, when I wanted to drop out, they were pretty chill about it, honestly.
That's cool.
They were pretty, like, they were just like, if you want to, whatever. I mean, they probably didn't want to pay for NYU. I was on scholarship, so I wasn't.
Yeah.
And the thing that was really nerve-wracking about dropping out was that I was on a big scholarship that would end
Yeah, you can't get
after
it
5
back.
years.
Oh,
so
yeah.
if I didn't go back after a year, I wasn't going to get the scholarship for my whole education.
Uh-huh.
So, and it was basically like, well, we won't be able to afford it. So
Right.
if you don't, you know, you can't really go back if you take like 2 or 3 years off, unless you want to get in debt.
Right. But hey, things worked out how they should have.
it's totally
and
fine.
they're still working out. And Sophie, I want to thank you for your time. I appreciate it. This is really cool. You're very cool. I think you're rad. Sorry, I feel.
Thank you.
Tell the people where they can find you online.
You can find me at Soccer Mommy Band, right? I have to look at my
Mm-hmm. .com?
manager. .com.
And
I
then and
didn't know
your
if it was
Twitter
band
is
or
just
music.
at Soccer Mommy.
Twitter, no, it's
Oh.
not. There's it on Instagram. It's at Soccer Mommy Band.
Okay.
On Twitter, it's just my Twitter. It's just at Sofarella.
That's right. Sofarella. How do you spell that one? Because I had trouble finding it.
SOPHARELA.
Okay, there you go. So look for her on Twitter, Bandcamp, Spotify, all the streaming platforms, Instagram, all that stuff. I can't recommend the record enough. I love it. And it's one of those records when I put it on, my girl always goes, "Who is this?" And that's how I know it's a good record.
that's
you know?
good sign.
Yeah, that's a good sign because she's a better A&R than me. So, thank you for your time. My name is Lee. Some of you guys might know me as Intuition. You can follow me on Twitter at It's Intuition across all platforms. And this is You Feel Me, the Skullcandy podcast, where we talk to artists and athletes about life and culture. And that's how we make this money. That's it. Yeah. Thank you.
Great.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.